Hello again, this is Ron with Stay Sharp. In this video we're going to be looking at a Day 6 EvoX 125 grain head sent to me by a viewer. In the letter he said that this is not a new head. It was shot no more than 5 times into a foam deer target. And this is actually a good test to do because when you get a head, you're going to practice with it and you're going to shoot it into your foam target, and then you're going to own some sharpening. But I got to tell you, this edge, even after being shot into a foam target, is pretty darn good. They care about their edges, it appears, and their material. I think this is SV30 stainless, so this is a premium knife steel or broadhead blade steel. So now that we know that this has been used, it'll affect our out-of-the-box sharpness because we won't have that. But I can tell already it's got a great edge on it. So we'll do as we always do. We look at it under the microscope. We'll put it in the sharpness tester, and this time we will try to remember to get a weight. Sometimes I forget that. It's a 125 grain head that weighs 124. Alright, so now we have our starting base. So let's look at it under the microscope. That edge looked pretty darn good under the microscope. So let's get a before sharpness. .336. So that is pretty sharp. That's in the high-end new cutlery range, and that's after having been shot into a foam target a few times. So now we'll set about trying to come up with a sharpening strategy for it. So I'll be right back. Based on the fact that this head has a convex, a curved outer profile, the version C guide is the best choice. And based on the angle of the factory grind, this is the wheel or roller position that I'm using for both of these when I place the ceramic crock stick on here. It may be hard to see, but that's about the closest angle. It's a little steeper than the factory grind, but in this case you're only attacking that leading edge, and this head is still sharp just from the target dulling, so there's no need to resurface the entire bevel, the entire grind. So when we sell the version C kit, it comes with a double cut Swiss file, it comes with the ceramic crock stick, it comes with a wooden dowel, and then I always recommend to pick up a pack of our sandpaper, because then you can cut small strips of the grits that we sell a pack of 240, 400, 800, 1200, 2500. You wrap that around the dowel like I show here and secure with tape as I've done, and then you can make a round file in any grit that you choose. So in this case, this head is not that dull, so I'm going to start with 1200, 2500 grit, and then the ceramic stick. The process is to lay the stick, whatever sharpening media, which brings me to another point. If you own one of these diamond jewel sticks, they are also a great option for sharpening. They fit in between the little goal posts here. They roll great on the roller. I don't know if they come in a variety of grits, but for material removal and sharpening, these are a great option. So if you have one of those, don't be afraid to employ that. So with the wooden dowel and the sandpaper, I will start at the back and I will sharpen out to the tip. I can start at the tip and sharpen out to the back. If you go into the blade, there's a likelihood that you're going to cut the sandpaper, so you're just better off doing a pulling stroke as you go away. Flip it over. Once you've created a burr, of course, when you've created a burr with one grit, you need to knock that burr off. Then you can flip it over, do the same thing. Use a pulling stroke on the curved surface that you're sharpening. Once I get this edge to the degree of sharpness that I want, I'd loosen the screw, turn it around so I can get this edge. So as you can see, for this particular day 6, this is the placement that I've got. So I'll keep going, and then I will flip it over and do the other side, and then we will look at sharpness under the microscope and in the sharpness tester. Now I've sharpened both of the main blades with 12, 2500, and then the wooden dowel with buffing compound as well as the ceramic crock stick. Now let's look at the trailing edge. This is the blade position for the trailing edge. You want to keep this edge parallel to this white roller, and that is the amount of exposure for this blade, and you can tell by laying it on here and looking at the angle. So we're a little steeper, so again, we're only attacking the very cutting edge. There's no need in regrinding the entire surface. So when you look at that white reflection line that's on the blade, you can see the little bit that I'm touching. I'm just honing it up. You can pull the blade out further. There's enough to grab onto and exactly match the entire bevel if that suits you. If you've got a huge nick in here, certainly you would want to do that. Pull it out and regrind the whole edge, but there's really no need for that. So I'm going to do this trailing edge, then I'm going to reposition it, do this trailing edge, and then we will have the blade done. The last step in sharpening this head is the bleeder, and it's pretty tiny. So to more closely match the factory angle, because I have to have it inserted enough to grab on, I've moved to the lowest screw position. And as you will see, when I lay it on the roller and I come down, that's a pretty close match to the factory bevel. You don't have to match the factory bevel, but the situation is the same here. I'll just do it with a crock stick to show you. I would just stroke across the edge, and we'll do the same thing. It'll be easier to do the back side because we'll turn the blade and we'll have all of this inserted into the jaw. But for the back, I would still use this position. Just take the blade out and turn it so that this edge is parallel to the roller. Right now this edge is parallel. Well, that edge looked pretty fine, but then this is a great steel to work with. I even tried to show splitting one of the gray hairs out of my beard. Tough to film at such a micro level. Every movement seems like a huge jump, but let's see what we get now. on the scale. .114, that is very sharp. This is certainly probably sharper than the factory edge that was produced. This is razor blade type edge. I should reload it and see what we get on the trailing edge. While I don't really value trailing edge sharpness, some do. I value it a little bit on single bevels, but not so much on a double bevel. Let's see if we can do this without cutting ourselves. Alright, so this is the trailing edge now. .165. That is really sharp too. So that is the Day 6 EvoX 125 grain. And if you recall, we started with the head weighing 124 grains. Let's see what it weighs after sharpening. You would expect it would not change at all. And it didn't. It's still 124. We were only attacking the very leading edge of the blade. We weren't resurfacing the whole blade. That's why you can see that nice white line is really all that we were sharpening on here. But great steel can be taken to a great edge. I'm pretty impressed with the head overall. Not a lot of companies are using such a great steel, but it turned out pretty well. Thanks for watching.